The West is planning confiscating Russian assets. It would have consequences. The minimum, it will be a nail in coffin for Western economic system. Kremlin asset seizure warning from Russia. The Kremlin has cautioned that the Western economic system would suffer a significant setback if Russian assets were confiscated, and such actions would trigger retaliatory measures and legal challenges. Kremlin's stance on asset confiscation. Dmitry Peskov, the Kremlin spokesman, described the potential confiscation of Russian assets as a decisive nail in the coffin for the Western economic framework during an interview on the Moscow Kremlin Putin show on Russia 1 TV channel, as reported by Sputnik. Legal responses to asset seizure in the scenario where Russian assets in the West are seized. Peskov, the spokesperson for President Vladimir Putin, stated that Russia would respond with legal proceedings and additional measures. Investor reconsideration due to asset seizure. Peskov mentioned, as reported by a Russian news agency, that the asset seizure approved by the US Congress might lead foreign investors and nations to rethink placing their funds in Western assets. U.S. Senate legislation on Russian assets. On April 23, the U.S. Senate passed legislation previously approved by the House of Representatives that allows for the confiscation and reallocation of frozen Russian financial assets to aid Ukraine's reconstruction. Premature to discuss Russia's countermeasures. Peskov noted that discussing Russia's potential counteractions to the confiscation of its assets is too early, but he highlighted the presence of Western assets within Russia. Russian investments in foreign currency. Over time, the Russian government, under President Putin, has heavily invested in the euro and dollar to stabilize the ruble, amassing $300 billion in foreign currency reserves. Following the invasion of Ukraine by Putin, the G7 nations collectively froze these reserves, most of which are held in European banks. Medvedev's remarks on asset confiscation. Dmitry Medvedev, deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council, stated that Russia's reply to the US's asset confiscation law will be felt sharply, suggesting that only an asymmetric response is feasible, as reported by TASS news agency. Proposal for confiscating assets of unfriendly nations. Medvedev proposed the idea of creating laws that would enable Russia to seize assets from citizens of countries deemed unfriendly.